Welcome to NTN Nightly. I am Janelle Novel. This edition's top stories. School principals receive government's promised payment of facility fees. The Department of Home Affairs reminds the public of the dangers of human trafficking. And the Lagos Hope returns to the island shore. The government of St. Lucia has made good on another promise to ease the financial burdens of nationals amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Thursday, the Department of Education held a ceremony for the handing over of payments to principals for facility fees. Details in this report.
The parents of students attending public schools have been relieved of the stress of meeting payment for facility fees for the academic year. Prime Minister Honorable Philip J. Pierre, in assuming office July 26, 2021, vowed that his administration, in adopting a people-focused agenda, would absorb the cost of facility fees for all students at the primary and secondary levels. On Thursday, 21st October 2021, the Ministry of Education presented principals with check payment totaling $2.6 million. Senator Honorable Dr. Pauline Antoine Prosper is the Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Sustainable Development, Innovation, Science, Technology, and Vocational Training.
This gesture is indicative of a government who cares about children, committed to assisting parents with the education of their children, and a government committed to easing the burden of finding resources for the daily operation of schools for principals. I was a school principal for 17 years, and I know the challenges of parents. I watched in the faces of parents when school reopened, and some of them would tell you, Miss, m'achete livre là, m'achete soulier. Miss, man lâche facility fee. Est-ce que ça paye $150 for insurance? So parents have been suffering.
Minister for Education, Honorable Sean Edward, noted that the learning environment must be comfortable to be effective. In reiterating government's commitment to improving the lives of nationals, the minister underscored the cost involved in delivering quality education and as such called for partnerships in sharing that cost.
There are countries in the world, from the time you are born until you graduate out of university, you do not pay a cent. The state absorbs that cost because they have the capacity to do so. We are not yet there. And as small a step as it might be this morning, for the government to be paying facilities fees on behalf of the children of this country, I want to let you know that this is the direction in which we are heading. This is where we want to be. We want a St. Lucia, and maybe it may not happen as quickly as we want because of some of the financial constraints we have as a country. But I must let you know that the objective and the ultimate goal is to be in a position one day where as a country we can provide quality education to the children of our country at absolutely no cost to the parents or the families from which the children come.
The Education Minister also informed that the government promised payment of CSEC fees for the subjects of mathematics and English will be met at the next sitting of the examination.
And we are at a very advanced stage where that is concerned, and I can tell you this morning that the memo that will be deliberated on at the level of cabinet in terms of the modalities that we use to make the monies available, that memo has been prepared, it has been signed, and I can assure you that it will feature very prominently on the cabinet agenda come Monday morning. There's a lot more we want to do and we will be doing for the education sector, but we cannot do it on our own. I have spoken in the 2 months that I've been entrusted with ministerial responsibility for education about forging that relationship with our stakeholders. In cases where the relationship has already existed, we have to deepen those relationships.
The payout of facility fees comes as the ministry prepares for the phased reopening of schools on Monday, 25th October 2021. Key grade levels will resume in this first instance and include kindergarten, grade 6 and forms 4 and 5 students. The reopening of special education schools has been postponed and a pronouncement on the new date will be made in the coming week. The ministry also wishes to inform that the school feeding program and transportation subsidy program will resume on Monday, October 25th, 2021. Parents and guardians of students who are currently assigned to the transportation subsidy program are asked to note that students will continue with the same drivers as the last academic year. From the Government Information Service, Lucia Joseph reporting.
After conducting extensive inquiries into the veracity of a voice note which cited attempted kidnappings of young women and girls across the island, the Department of Home Affairs has not been able to identify any empirical evidence supporting these claims. Focal point trafficking in persons in the Department of Home Affairs, Claudia Monlouis, has more.
The voice note, which has apparently gone into wide circulation, makes reference to frequent cases of missing girls. It also speculates on a probable human trafficking ring that may be posing a threat to the safety of younger females. Notwithstanding, the Department of Home Affairs has raised concerns about any possible threats of this nature and is encouraging the source of the voice note to contact the police or the human trafficking hotline 847 with any information that may assist in addressing the occurrence of such offenses. The Department of Home Affairs continues to remind the public to be on guard for the red flags that may signal an act of human trafficking is in progress. Oftentimes a hidden crime, the telltale signs of human trafficking include someone taking advantage of a position of vulnerability of another through coercion, threats, beatings, restraint of movement and communication, forced labor, the prostitution of one's person, child pornography, internet grooming, and commercial sexual exploitation. Victims may be sold from one trafficker to another or moved between several countries. Human trafficking earns global profits of roughly $150 billion a year for traffickers, $99 billion of which comes from commercial sexual exploitation.
The Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs this October is spearheading activities in observance of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. The World Health Organization reported that in 2020, there were 2.3 million women diagnosed with breast cancer and 685,000 deaths globally. At the end of 2020, there were 7.8 million women alive who were diagnosed with breast cancer in the past 5 years, making it the world's most prevalent cancer. Breast cancer is not a transmissible or infectious disease. Unlike some cancers that have infection-related causes such as the human papilloma virus, HPV infection, and cervical cancer, there are no known viral or bacterial infections linked to the development of breast cancer. During a panel discussion aired on NTN, oncologist Dr. Owen Gabriel explained that breast cancer accounts for 1 in every 4 cancer diagnoses and 1 in every 6 cancer deaths are as a result of breast cancer.
Very young women tend to develop lumps in the breast, which could be just cysts, a sac filled with fluid, or a fibroadenoma, which is a rubbery type of lump, similar in some respects to maybe a cancerous lump. But breast cancer is not particularly prevalent in the young age group, that is below age 40. In the world, the average age of a breast cancer diagnosis is 62 years. However, in St. Lucia, we will see that that age is actually lower than 62, unfortunately. So it's important for us at a very early age to be aware of those changes in the breast and what kinds of changes that are important to see about, or to consult your healthcare provider, albeit a nurse in the community, the family nurse practitioner, any healthcare provider. The idea that a person must understand their breast, and I see both men and women in that respect, because there's the fallacy out there that men don't get breast cancer, and they do. We've had quite a few men in St. Lucia who've had breast cancer. So we need to know our bodies.
Approximately half of breast cancers develop in women who have no identifiable breast cancer risk factor other than their gender, female, and age over 40 years. Certain factors which increase the risk of breast cancer include increasing age, obesity, harmful use of alcohol, family history of breast cancer, history of radiation exposure, reproductive history such as at the age that menstrual periods began and age at first pregnancy, tobacco use, and post-menopausal hormone therapy. Dr. Gabriel, explaining the importance of early intervention, urged members of the public to conduct regular self-examinations.
You look at the size of the breast. Sometimes that breast is larger. Sometimes there's a protruding mass. You look at the shape of the breast. In the shape of the breast, you can see the nipple is in its normal position. Sometimes a pulled-in nipple might indicate that there might be growth of a lump inside of the breast. You look at the color of the skin, and as you rightly alluded to, changes in the skin texture will let us know that if there's dimpling of the skin, if there is on the skin, these are usually more advanced manifestations of breast cancer. That cancer is not just restricted to the breast tissue. A lump is actually the most important manifestation of breast cancer, but the lump has specific characteristics that would be different to a benign, when I say benign, a non-cancerous lump, because you can have non-cancerous lumps like cysts and fibroadenomas. So that lump is very hard, very irregular. It's sometimes not easily movable, under the skin of the breast.
Oncologist Dr. Owen Gabriel. Meantime, a national initiative has been launched targeting teenage and adolescent girls. The Girls Not Mothers campaign, being undertaken by the St. Lucia Planned Parenthood Association, forms part of activities commemorating Adolescent Week from October 18 to 21, 2021. The initiative aims to provide teenagers with adequate resources to make responsible decisions in order to maintain low rates of teenage pregnancy in the country. Supervisor of Information and Education Patricia Modest, during an appearance on NTN's Morning Update, spoke to the importance of sexual education to youth making responsible decisions.
The education has to start at the home, where mothers will start with their children about the body, the organ. We tell parents, sit with your child, give the child the information according to the child's age. You start at very early about the body. Sex education is not about sex, personal hygiene, the different parts of the body. And if you start that way, the child will build a relationship with you. Will be able to sit and come to you and say, Mommy, look at that. Or you can sit and tell the child, look, now you are growing. I realize the changes, the physical changes is taking place. That's the first thing you will see. The breast growing, the boys will hear their voice changing, and the boys will start have beard. You'll see the girl's hip widening. You have eyes. You can see the changes in your own child. So that's the time you have to start, and you start talking to the girls what turns for you to know about your body.
Ms. Modest highlighted the health risks and consequences of engaging in early sexual activity.
Early pregnant, they can get an STI, STD. Then early sexuality with early sexual activity at an early age can cause cancer of the cervix. There are a lot of complications, And you see, when the body is not fully matured, and you get to sexual activities, sometimes the mindset, and if a girl gets pregnant at an early age, what they go for, and they can reach the wellness center, all the risk factors. But we get a lot of them coming in with infections.
Ms. Modest further explained that the Girls Not Mothers program will engage teenagers in the school and community settings and will equip participants with the requisite tools to make informed lifestyle choices. She said while the program focuses on the education and awareness of females, it is important that young males are included in the conversation. Residents of the South are being encouraged to explore the world's largest floating bookstore as the Logos Hope returns to the island shore.
The Locust Hope is in St. Lucia for the second time in 2021, this time in the south of the island. Residents of Vieux and environs can enjoy the Locust Hope experience, browse the floating book fair, and purchase literature otherwise unavailable on the island. At an opening ceremony for the ship in Vieux, Director of the Locust Hope, Randy Grebe, expressed elation to be in St. Lucia again.
Over the 40 years, we've had 4 ships actually visit here in St. Lucia. This is our 18th visit to your country with those 4 ships, and it's our 4th visit with the Locust Hope. And I've been on this ship every single time. So it's starting to feel like home, even though we transverse the world. But one thing I appreciate about this island country is, and it's already confirmed, just the warm welcome that we receive from you. You make us feel like we've been here for several years.
The newly appointed Mayor of Vieux South, Cyril Saltibus, extended a warm welcome to the crew of the vessel and applauded the work of the Locust Hope.
I applaud what the Locust Hope is doing for the countries around the world, because reading is becoming a dying pastime, but a lifelong necessity. So we'll always remain grateful and thankful for your visit to St. Lucia. I am hopeful that during your stay here in the South, that you and your crew will have a chance to visit the town of Vieux, but paying all the necessary attention to our protocols as we try to recover from this pandemic. I would like to remind everybody, visitors, patrons, and crew, that safety should be of paramount importance at all times for all of us. Let us cooperate with the authorities to make these activities over the next few days a memorable and exciting experience for all. Welcome to Vieux Fort St. Lucia.
Minister for Education, Sustainable Development, Innovation, Science, Technology, and Vocational Training, Honorable Sean Edward, highlighted the educational opportunity the Locust Hope presents to students in the South.
It is no secret that the world is rapidly moving into a realm of digitization, where every child carries 10, 15, 20 textbooks or pieces of literature on a tablet. But nothing can replace the feel of having a book in hand. And so we really want to encourage our children through their parents to make good on the opportunity that has been presented, where you have a rich repository of reading material available to you in the south of the country. Take your children out.
The opening ceremony of the Locust Hope saw the parade of nations where Locust crew members of various nationalities were introduced to the invited guests. The ceremony enjoyed entertainment from Korean crew members who performed a fan dance, which in their culture is traditionally performed for royalty. And government representatives and the director of the Locust Hope exchanged tokens of appreciation. Invited guests then witnessed the ribbon-cutting ceremony and explored the floating book fair. From the Government Information Service, Humadi Mark reporting.
This is NTN Nightly. Coming up next, conserving the Makotay mangrove.
The Department of Finance has introduced the Electronic Government Procurement System, EGP. The EGP system has many benefits for stakeholders involved in government procurement. And government seeks to adopt a strategic approach to its purchasing process. Electronic government procurement improves efficiency of procurement and enhances data capture. The EGP is innovative and will automate the sequence from notification, receiving and evaluation of submissions to final contract award. It improves communication between vendors and government agencies, provides greater transparency, and builds confidence in the vendor community through increased access to information. To participate, vendors, suppliers, and contractors must register on the Electronic Government Procurement Platform. EGP, improving efficiency and transparency in the acquisition of goods, books, and services.
Welcome back. The St. Lucia National Trust has concluded 2 stakeholder consultations as part of an ecological assessment of the Makotay mangrove forest being undertaken by the Institute of Marine Affairs based in Trinidad and Tobago. In 2015, the trust and other stakeholders had confirmed a severe case of mangrove dieback, which had first been revealed through Google Earth imagery. However, satellite images showed that a dieback was present from as far back as 2010. The team of consultants from the Institute of Marine Affairs began their research on the dieback in the Makote mangrove forest on the 16th of October 2021. In addition to the research and consultations conducted thus far, a field exercise with key resource management agencies was held Thursday 21st October. Joanna Rosemond is the program officer at the National Trust.
So once this assessment has been concluded, the consultants will now go back to Trinidad and Tobago, and they will conduct further analysis, and they will come back to us in terms of what are some of the potential causes of this dieback. And as part of this, they will be producing a rehabilitation and monitoring plan for the mangrove forest. And that plan, we are hoping to use and do further consultations with stakeholders and prioritize some of the things that we need to do as a country so that we can not just restore or rehabilitate the mangrove forest, but also continue to take the necessary measures so that we do not end up with a situation as we did with the last dieback.
The team of consultants has presented some of the preliminary observations. Dr. Rahana Juman is the acting director of the Institute of Marine Affairs.
So we would have collected data that still need further analysis, but from what we have done so far, what we're noticing or observing is that there's a lot less water that's coming into the mangrove from the seaward side, from the landward side, so less fresh water. There are areas within the mangrove where salinities are very high, and that's because you don't have much fresh water and much flooding. And also too, on the seaward side, the berm, while it's open now, there's a lot of blockage because of the amount of sargassum, but primarily the seagrasses that have piled up, and that has created sort of a berm that prevents the water from flushing the mangroves. So we would have noticed some new areas of dieback and some areas that would have previously dieback that is experienced rehabilitation or regeneration. We have installed tide gauges or water level sensors and salinity sensors that we would collect data over a period of time, and we would have collected water and sediment samples for analysis. So at the end of the day, we want to be able to say what is the most likely cause for the mangrove dieback and what is required in order to rehabilitate this mangrove forest.
Vincent Clark, Vice President of the Opicot Charcoal and Agriculture Producers, says the visiting team has imparted important knowledge to all stakeholders.
The interesting things I will observe is the laser mapping, the transact and the thing that we did into the mangrove, and the tide gauges that we put in the mangrove to actually see what the tide flow is in and out within the mangrove system, so they could determine about what amount of water comes in from the high tide and what amount comes out from the high tide. This is a very important thing for the Opicot Charcoal and Agriculture Producers, because a lot of them depends on that mangrove forest for their livelihoods, especially doing charcoal. And they do also with the sea moss farm. When you have a good mangrove forest, will trap the silt and prevent like the silt from going into the ocean. And actually you could have a better sea moss production when you have clean waters in the ocean. This is a very, very good important thing, Makote mangrove. For actually the group is looking to do alternative livelihoods like beekeeping, hiking, tours into the mangrove to actually educate people about what they have. So it is a very, very good thing that we taking the time and to do the assessment and find out what we have and why our mangrove is going back into the way that is going.
Financing for the assessment is being sourced from the Caribbean Biodiversity Fund, which is co-financed by the International Climate Initiative of the German Federal Ministry for Environment, Nature Conservation and Nuclear Safety. We now take a look at the weather.
Forecast for St. Lucia, valid for the next 24 hours. Winds will be blowing from the east near 23 miles per hour or 37 kilometers per hour with a few gusts. Weather, partly cloudy, hazy and breezy with a few showers. Seas, moderate to locally rough with waves and northerly to northeasterly swells. 5 to 8 feet or 1.2 to 2.4 meters. Small craft operators and seafarers are advised to exercise caution due to reduced visibility and locally rough seas. A plume of Saharan dust will cause a reduction in visibility and air quality over the Eastern Caribbean region during the next couple of days. Persons with respiratory ailments and dust allergies are advised to take the necessary precautions. The Atlantic high-pressure system will generate brisk winds and above normal seas around the Eastern Caribbean region during the forecast period. A tropical wave located over the central tropical Atlantic is moving westward near 17 miles per hour or 28 kilometers per hour. Tropical cyclone formation is not expected over the tropical Atlantic during the next 5 days.
That brings us to the end of NTN Nightly. Join us next time at 7 p.m. with a repeat at 7 a.m. You can also catch up with us anytime on the St. Lucia Government Facebook page or YouTube channel. I am Janelle Norville.